all of it allegedly for money and fame. She even landed a book deal from the case, and it was that book appearance that led jurors to coming forward. Adding fuel to their claim, Hill was featured in the second season of the Netflix docuseries on the Murdaugh family. In this series, she even talks about how she thought the jury would return a quick verdict against Murdaugh.
I had a feeling from our time together with the jury out at Moselle that it was not going to take our jury long to make the decision in this case. It's just called that women's intuition.
All right, so was it just women's intuition, or was she tampering with the jury as Murdaugh's defense suggests? Murdaugh's attorney, Jim Griffin, who we'll hear from in just a minute, he's going to join us live, says Hill even advised the jury not to believe Murdaugh's testimony and other evidence from the defense.
Assure you, when we considered what factors and what we should and should not do and considered whether he should take the stand, we never considered the likelihood, as reported to us by the jurors, that the clerk of court would go in to the sanctity of the jury room before he testified and tell the jurors, don't be fooled by his testimony, watch out for his body language.
Now, if these allegations are true, this is at the least very serious. Jurors are not supposed to talk about the case with each other before deliberations, much less with the clerk of the court. Even Dan was shocked at the magnitude of these allegations when they were first announced nearly 3 weeks ago.
This is much more serious than I expected. When I heard, oh, they're going to hold a press conference, they're going to say they got new evidence, I'm thinking, yeah, every defense attorney tries to make it seem like, oh, they got the bombshell that's going to get their person. But this is pretty serious stuff.
Murdaugh is currently serving 2 consecutive life sentences without parole after the jury found him guilty in the fatal shootings of his wife Maggie and their youngest son Paul at the family's estate in 2021. Murdaugh's attorney says they have sworn affidavits from 2 jurors and 1 from a dismissed juror, as well as excerpts from Hill's book, Behind the Doors of Justice, The Murdaugh Murders, which details Hill's experience overseeing such a major trial and her family's history with the Murdaughs. And an even more shocking twist, and this is perhaps the most shocking to me. At the end of the Netflix documentary, Hill said she knew Murdaugh was guilty and even suggested he may have had help, possibly setting up another book.
I do think Alec pulled the trigger, and then I think he had help with cleaning up everything that needed cleaning up. And what we had left was the crime scene that took us to the trial.
And joining me now is Jim Griffin, Alec Murdaugh's defense attorney. It's good to see you, Jim. It's good to see you got back in one piece from CrimeCon. You're undamaged and you're back home. That's good to see. I want to ask you that last thing that the clerk said in the Netflix documentary, that he pulled the trigger, that he may have had help cleaning everything up. I mean, she's still the elected clerk right now, doing these interviews, talking about the case, what she thinks, that she thinks someone else might be involved. I mean, isn't this extremely unusual for an elected clerk of court who's still in office in that position to be saying things like that on, in a documentary?
Ryan, I am reacting in real time to that, frankly. That's the first I've heard of that. I'll tell you this, there's a code of judicial of ethics that applies to all court officials that says no judicial officer should give their opinion about someone's guilt or innocence while the case is pending. And pending includes while the case is on appeal. I'm flabbergasted that she is expressing her personal opinion that he murdered his wife and son and had help. I mean, this is the first I've heard of that, and it's shocking. But it's just one more shocking revelation in a series of things that we've learned since the trial. I mean, what Dan's reaction was sort of muted of what my reaction was when I first heard the jurors say this to me. I mean, it was jaw-dropping. It was absolutely stunning.
I guess it was always my take that like a clerk of court was supposed to be sort of like unbiased. Like that's not really their job to give their opinion on a case. Are you surprised? I mean, she talked to all these documentaries, obviously, but are you surprised she still hasn't said anything about your allegations with these jurors saying that she interfered, that she hasn't even put out a statement that I know of at this point?
To my knowledge, she's not put out a statement. We had heard rumblings that a statement would be released today. Nothing came today. If I'm her lawyer, I would advise her not to put out a statement. I mean, the things that she is alleged to have done are crimes. I mean, they are crimes under the South Carolina Code of Laws. And so if she did what the jurors reported that she did, she's in legal jeopardy, as much as Alec Murdaugh is still in legal jeopardy.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.